I am, but President Biden isn't here anymore. In fact, he's already on his way back to Washington, D.C. after delivering that address today where he hopes he set a new tone before foreign leaders here at this international body. Said in a stark departure from the past 4 years during the Trump administration, with his predecessor having focused his foreign policy and his remarks to this body on sovereignty for each country, focusing on each country's own citizens, and also American exceptionalism. Today, President Biden called for collective action between the global community. He also had some interesting things to say about democracy, saying that no democracy is perfect, including the United States, including America, and also suggesting that America had faced down a quote unquote insurrection. That's very similar to certain remarks that we've heard from his UN ambassador, Linda Thomas Greenfield, who told a body of people in April that if the United States was going to join the Human Rights Council here at the UN once again, that it must recognize its own failures, and that, quote unquote, white supremacy is weaved into our founding documents and principles. Speaking of human rights abuses, the president not touching on the continued fallout of Afghanistan. Also, now that the U.S. is admitting it made a mistake in that drone strike that killed an aid worker and his family rather than the two ISIS-K targets that the United States originally touted. But President Biden urging the global community to move on past Afghanistan. The jury's still out, though, on exactly how President Biden's speech was received by foreign leaders here. I'm sure we'll get a lot more reaction over the next couple of days, but there is at least one foreign leader who's happy with the president and expects to give him a warm welcome later today when he visits Biden at the White House, and that's the UK's Boris Johnson, who said on his way here, according to the Financial Times, he told British reporters that relations between Britain and the U.S. have not been this good in decades. He's clearly happy with the Biden administration's surprise move that Britain did not know was coming ahead of this bilateral today, in which the U.S. will now welcome fully vaccinated Brits to travel to the United States in November. Boris Johnson told British reporters, that the last time they left here a couple of years ago from the UN, they felt like they were leaving with a few pebbles in their shoes. So clearly he's happy about the new commander-in-chief for the United States.
All right, Emerald. Thank you very much, Emerald Robinson. For more on all of this, let's bring in former senior advisor to President Trump and President Bush, Christopher Whiten. Christian, I should say. Christian, we've got Afghanistan, that debacle, that withdrawal. We've got, who knew, you're on top of these things. I didn't know France was going to get upset with the deal we did with Australia. What's going on with this administration?
Well, there's just a huge gap between the language that they are using and the reality. It's not the end of the world that France is mad at us. And frankly, France, you know, the idea that it has pulled ambassadors from two Democratic allies, including the United States, for a corporatist reason that they're just losing out on a payday, tells you pretty much all you need to know about France and whether they're actually going to be there when we need them in a fight. But more broadly, if you look at Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, our adversaries, or even our allies, they look at this administration and just see a lot of make-believe happy talk coming out of the president's speech, in addition to some criticism of America that just, you know, I guess this administration can't resist engaging in, as if it's the job of our diplomats and representatives to go to the UN and criticize America. Incidentally, it's not. But, you know, he can talk about supporting democracy, but when you look at what just happened in Afghanistan, when you look about how the military under political pressure just killed 7 kids in Afghanistan in this botched raid, I think the pressure from the White House is an untold story. Foreign leaders look at this president and they see a joke.
Yeah, Christian was thinking as I was watching the speech that there was a disconnect between actions and words, what he is saying and what is actually happening in the world. During the president's speech, he did say that we've reached an inflection point. Listen to this.
In my view, how we answer these questions in this moment, whether we choose to fight for our shared future or not, will reverberate for generations yet to come. Simply put, we stand, in my view, at an inflection point in history.
And so what is going to follow, in your opinion?
Right, he loves using that phrase. It's not actually quite the right way to use it, but it, what's the inflection point? He has run up the biggest deficit pretty much in U.S. history. This year, the fiscal year that ends next week, we will have spent $7.2 trillion, more than half of which we've borrowed. Under his rule, we're going to borrow a whole lot more. There's the question of how much you have to print dollars, invent dollars out of thin air before you get inflation. Question has been answered. And militarily, President Biden, like a lot of them, frankly, like the Obama-Biden administration that pulled out of Iraq awfully quickly, saying, well, we're going to refocus on the Pacific and Asia. Now they're doing that again. They didn't actually follow through the last time, and they're not following through this time. There's been no net increase in military power in the Pacific, nor are there any real plans to do so. So again, if you're sitting at the UN and you're listening to these ethereal words about inflection points and how things are going to improve, there's a huge disconnect between that and reality.
Or if you're sitting in Taiwan, you're probably getting a little nervous right now. President Biden also making comments about terrorist threats during his speech and defending vital U.S. national interest. Here's what he said.
Make no mistake, the United States will continue to defend ourselves, our allies, and our interests against attack, including terrorist threats, as we prepare to use force if any is necessary. But to defend our vital U.S. national interest, including against ongoing and imminent threats. But the mission must be clear and achievable, undertaken with informed consent of the American people, and whenever possible, in partnership with our allies. U.S. military power must be our tool of last resort.
Christian, are we safer right now against a terrorist threat?
No, Joe Biden really has made jihad great again in a way. If you look, it seems like ancient history now, but it was under his tenure we had the shift in the Middle East from peace and growing partnership between Jews and Arabs with the Abraham Accord to really reviving this Palestinian terrorist cause to the extent that Hamas felt at ease to attack Israel. You have the Iranian regime, which the Biden diplomats cannot wait to just give tons and tons of money to in the form of sanctions relief. Tehran is holding out for a particularly good deal, which they'll probably get. And then in Afghanistan, flawed as any sort of government or situation there would have been post-U.S. withdrawal, we've ended up with sort of the worst-case scenario. Now, the Taliban says they're not going to become an exporter of terrorism, but it's sort of a shame we have to take their words for it. And we do not have any real capability, intelligence capability there, as proved by the fact that, even when we were still there, our drone attack failed to actually kill a terrorist.
Yeah. The president also mentioned that we are not seeking a new Cold War that had been mentioned by the UN Secretary General between the United States and China. Listen to this.
But we're not seeking, say it again, we are not seeking a new Cold War or a world divided into rigid blocks. The United States is ready to work with any nation that steps up and pursues peaceful resolution to shared challenges, even if we have intense disagreements in other areas, because we'll all suffer the consequences of our failure if we do not come together to address the urgent threats like COVID-19 and climate change, or enduring threats like nuclear proliferation.
So your thoughts finally on that?
Yeah, that would be a beautiful speech to give in 2001, and Senator Biden probably did, when everyone thought that China's rise could be peaceful, and if we make them rich, then they'll act like capitalists and like us and love us. And unfortunately, your enemy or adversary gets a vote in that equation, too. So whether or not there's a Cold War doesn't depend on whether we call it a Cold War. It depends on whether the Chinese act like there's a Cold War, and certainly that is the way they are acting. This had been settled, I thought, in the election of 2016. We had this long period where we pretended China's rise would be peaceful from when we let it in the WTO until when Donald Trump got elected. Really, what Biden is trying to do is turning back the clock. And if you're Taiwan or anyone else in the world and you look at what's going on, you think, what is this guy talking about?
All right. Christian Whiten, thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.